She's a defender of donuts. 3 meals are faster than none. She'll make it all good in your neighborhood. She'll make sure we have loads of fun. Who will help Lily? Who will catch Billy? It's Trixie the Tricycle Trooper.
Hi Flosstube, my name's Jody and I'm Trixie Tricycle, both here on YouTube and also on Instagram. Welcome. If you have not been here before, the background of my YouTube and Instagram name is that Trixie Tricycle was the kind of the star of bedtime stories that my dad used to tell us when we were kids. And he also, oh hi Ella. So my dog's decided that now she's gonna get up from her nap that she's been having for the last hour. So she can wag her tail and hit my light and, oh my gosh, Ella. Go lay down, honey. She apparently now she's the star of all the show. Go lay down. Oh, good girl. Yeah, go lay down. If you were new here, I haven't really talked about this too much in the last few videos. So the name, tail wagging. Trixie Tricycle, the name came from bedtime stories that my dad used to tell us when we were kids. And when he would travel, he would also draw comic strips that had Trixie Tricycle as this little girl who would go around and save the neighborhood from bad people trying to steal baked goods. So that's what the intro is about. And Jacob from Modern Folk Embroidery surprised me one morning a couple of months ago. I got home from work and in my email inbox was that jingle based on that my dad's character, Trixie. So I did my best to cobble together an animated intro that combined both of those things, and I think that it anyway. So that's the history. Welcome. So glad you're here. We have a ton to talk about. My last Flosstube video, I think it's been close to a month. I did a knot tutorial on project bag, the project bag that I make and the way that I do it, which you guys were very kind. It was kind of my first attempt at doing any top-down video, so that was eye-opening and showed me all the challenges that are kind of built into that whole process. So for any of you that do top-down tutorials on a regular basis, kudos to you, because it was a challenge. But a few of you, including I can think of Zan, who's her Flosstube channel and Instagram is Crazy Band Lady Stitches. She actually did, she used my video to put together a couple of project bags, and she modified it a little bit. She put a handle on it, and it's really, really fun to watch you guys use it. So anyway, feel free to tag me if you have used it or if it's been helpful. In the comments of that particular video, there have been all kinds of additional ideas, techniques, and different ways to maybe construct them a little bit more easily, and also to add just like little, extra tags, or maybe do a pocket in a different way so that you can put your needles in it, or so, any of those things. I love those ideas. The whole idea to me is that the Flosstube's a big collaborative effort, and I'm pretty new at all of this, and so anything you guys have to add is welcome. Speaking of new, February 5th. February, yeah, So it's September, but I'm just gonna go with February. September 5th was my 1-year anniversary of picking up cross stitch. So it's kind of remarkable to look back at some of the stuff that I've learned and the people that I've met and all the projects that I've worked on and the habits that I have picked up, including collecting charts and all the other things. But mostly just having a really fun community that has this really creative and odd thing in common has been has been awesome. So yay, 1 year of stitching. Yes. I don't think I get a plaque or anything like that, but anyway. I thought what I would do is I would do just a couple of previous finishes. The order we're going to do this today, I'm going to throw in, because I have a few people that I want to talk about, other floss tubers, other stitchers, but I'm going to do it kind of throughout the video. And there's a reason, it's kind of a method to my madness. So, I'm going to go through and do a couple of previous finishes. I have a fully finished object. I have some starts, and I'll show you the works in progress, just the things that I've stitched on since my last Flosstube video. And then, because it is Sampler September, I will go through a few of the kitted projects that I have that are kind of on my immediate radar to want to start. I don't know that I'll get to them this month because I do have some of the things that I'm working on, but I figured that in the spirit of Sampler September, I would go ahead and bring those out and show some of those to you. So, and there is some acquisition, some stash enhancement stuff I got that we can kind of incorporate throughout the video as well. I don't think I'm going to do that all as one big block. Because it makes more sense to go through some of it as we go. So, to begin with, the Great Floss Drop Trade. And this is something that Mama Loves You GB, Michelle, Mama Loves You GB is her Flosstube channel. And she started the coolest thing, which is essentially a floss drop trading card bonanza, extravaganza, whatever you want to call it. It's like having pen pals from all over the place that you get to trade really cool floss drop cards. So I showed you last time my completely self-serving version, which is just pretty much my logo. I don't think you can see that, but you know what it looks like because you just saw it at the beginning of my video, which a lot of you said was cute anyway. I mean, it is, you know, this is me when I was a kid, and I didn't have anything to do with it, but I was a cute kid, so sitting on my little tricycle. But the other, I decided to order a second one because I was looking at a lot of different gorgeous artwork that other people were putting on their floss drops, and I wanted to sort of, so I thought I would just get another pattern or another design and then have a couple so that people could choose, or just get some of both. So I shared this on my Instagram post, but this photo, hopefully you can see that and it's focusing. It's kind of difficult to tell what it is, but this photo was taken from underneath the Alaskan Wave Viaduct and next to the Seattle Empire Laundry Building. So in Seattle, there used to be an elevated roadway up until just a few years ago when it was demolished. And it was built in the 40s, 50s in stages. And at some point, the roadway made a turn and it got to this building, which had been standing there for far longer than the viaduct. And instead of knocking the building down or rerouting, which would have been pretty difficult based on where that viaduct was, they just made a notch in the railing. So I happened to see that one day. I think when I went back and looked on my Instagram photo, which is where I had this, I took this photo sometime in 2014, so I've had it for a long time. This view no longer exists. You can't see it anymore because the bridge is gone. The entire elevated roadway is gone. And if I can, I'll probably put in some pictures. This side. If you're new here, I still can't figure out which direction is which when I go to. I have a monitor behind my camera, and so I can kind of see at times if like things are focusing and things are working. And so I use a really old, like, 10-year-old video camera, mounts on a tripod, and then I have a computer monitor behind it so I can see it. But it always confuses me because I can never remember. So anyway, if I remember, I will try to put up some photos of what the viaduct used to look like. It was challenging on a number of levels, even though it was a really unique roadway. It ran right down the waterfront of, the main Seattle waterfront, so along kind of just behind Pike Place Market. You could see the sound from it. But it was sort of problematic from the beginning in terms of its construction. And then in 1989, in Oakland, California, there was a section of the 880, which was the Cypress Viaduct. I think it was also called the Viaduct, but that collapsed in the Loma Prieta earthquake. And so, ever since then, the Alaskan Way Viaduct has been sort of a challenge. It's been a problem. They would close it periodically. And at that time, I think city planners started deciding what they were going to do to replace it. So it's now down. There is a replacement tunnel. That's a whole other story. But anyway, so that's what that photo is of. And I just thought it was really interesting. It was, imagine now. I mean, would they have gone with that solution? Anyway, that's what the floss drop photo is. I don't wear jewelry very much, but one of the pieces that I do wear it's related, sort of, to what I'm talking about. So this is, it's just a piece of, it looks like a polished piece of stone. Right, and it's about, I want to say it's about 2 inches long. But if you look at the back of it, there is an etching, and you can, hopefully that'll come out in the camera because I can see it on camera really well. That is actually an etching of the Alaskan Way Viaduct. And this piece, it's not a stone, it's actually a chunk of the viaduct. It's a chunk of the roadway. After they demolished it, there's a couple who make jewelry, and they have a booth in the Pike Place Market, and they turned some of the pieces of the viaduct into jewelry. And I just, me and stuff that's old and broken and forgotten and discarded and made beautiful again. So anyway, all right, moving on. I wanted to touch base on how some people have expressed concern about the cost of mailing floss drops to each other. One of the first people to reach out to me and ask to trade suggested trading a total of 12 cards. And the reason for that, and what I figured out, is that will keep you underneath a 1 ounce limit. So we're trying to keep this in the letter category, first class letter. If you can keep it under 1 ounce, and just to give you an example, what I tend to do is to wrap a set of 6 cards into a little piece of paper and put some tape on it, because it keeps it in the card. It keeps it from floating around and getting all the cards on one side or the other, so that as it goes through the mail, they don't all get jammed on one side of the envelope. Because as they're going through the reader, you don't want to have a big chunk of cards over on one side because it's going to tear the envelope. If they have to manually feed it, it just costs more. So you get 2, I have 2 of these, and then that goes into my little envelope. And that combination of things is about 0.8 ounces, 0.9 ounces, depending on how heavyweight your card is and how heavyweight your envelope is. So if it is under 1 ounce and you're sending within the United States, I can use 1 forever stamp. Okay. If you're concerned that it's right on the edge of 1 ounce or more, then you can purchase what are called additional ounce stamps. They're 20 cents a piece. And that will ensure that with the forever stamp plus this additional ounce stamp, that you can get it where it needs to go. A couple of ways that you can weigh would be a kitchen scale. So if you just have a plain kitchen scale, that would be one way. A regular postal scale. They're not horribly expensive if you're mailing out a lot of things anyway. I think I got one at Staples for around $40, but I'm tending to start to mail things out, so it's going to be worth it for me. But for you guys to know that just that regular card size envelope with a total of 12 cards unpunched. So if you punch them, it will actually be even a little bit lighter. But that can go through the mail as a letter, and it should just take one forever stamp. And if you're nervous about it, just add that additional 20-cent stamp and you should be good to go. If you're going to be sending to another country, the U.S. Postal Service has lots of guides for each of those different places. But let's say the UK. Okay, I'm going to send them to Mama Loves UGB. I'm going to send some to Michelle. You can also purchase global forever stamps. Okay, and I believe that these now, the price of postage just went up a couple days ago. So I believe that these are $1.60. And if you're under 1 ounce and it's a letter, you can send for $1.60. Hopefully that's going to help some people, because this shouldn't be financially stressful. You know, this should be fun. And even if you only were to send one business card, one floss drop, so that people can collect them. Because then, what I ended up doing, and this is one of the reasons why it took me a little while to film, I decided to make a board where I'm starting to collect each of the floss drops that I've received. And it's just been really fun. So anyway, I'm just really loving that a lot, and it's a really cool way to get to know lots of different stitchers. And so yeah, so Michelle, thank you. This has been this really remarkable thing that's happened. One thing I wanted to show, and it's completely not, I mean, this is not expected, but I just wanted to show it because I just think it's so adorable. So I haven't checked with her yet, and so if I check with her and she says it's okay, I'll go ahead and add her Instagram handle down here. But one of you sent me this, and it is a cat-like reflexes. Sorry if I shook the camera. That this is a tiny little scissor fob. Oh my gosh, I don't even know if you're going to be able to see it. It is a tiny tricycle and a little initial and a little tassel, and it's so small and so cute, and I cannot even stand it. So, oh my gosh. So thank you. That was very, very nice of you, and I love it. So, previous finishes. First of all, a while back I finished, and someone had asked about this because I had it put it up behind me the other day. This is by the Primitive Hair, and the chart is called Midnight. And I finished this sometime last year. So this is with the called for flosses. I did rechart the date that was on the tombstone and just put a little rest in peace instead. And this is stitched on 30 count Old Salem linen, which is also by the Primitive Hair. And it wasn't their most recent, but their video before, I was watching Just Keep Stitching, Pam and Steph. And Steph had picked up a piece of that Primitive Hair, although I think it was the 40 count, the Old Massachusetts. One of them. And she was saying that, she goes, I think that they also have an Old Salem or Old New England. And then she mentioned that she was going to go and look for that. And I decided to message her on Instagram because I did the exact same thing. When I got Old Salem, I was trying to find Old Salem, but in a higher thread count. I was trying to find Old Salem in like 40 count. Well, the way that Isabel? Is it Isabel? I think so. The way that she's done it is that she actually has the same color, but the different thread counts have different names. So if you are looking for, so the most common one that you usually will see is Old Salem, and that's the 30 count, which is the same color as Old Massachusetts, which is the 40 count. Yeah, there you go. And this also comes in a bigger piece that some vendors will have. So it'll come just in a larger piece. And then Old New England. And this is the 35 count, I believe. So again, they are all the same color. Now, as you know, 40 count versus 30 count tend to dye just slightly differently. But when these are all open and spread out, they are almost identical. The same modeling, the same, they all smell wonderful like coffee. They, so anyway, I mentioned to Steph, I just said, hey, you might know this already, but this is what I found when I was looking for it. And she was like, oh, she responded very nicely and said, yeah, I didn't understand that's how that worked. And then I got awkward and botched the Lord of the Rings joke and quietly excused myself. So she was very nice about it. But anyway, yeah. So, and then I, as an aside, I signed up for the wait list to hopefully go to StitchCon next year. So I guess we all find out sometime in October whether or not we get to go. So maybe I can awkwardly follow her around and botch more jokes. So anyway. Okay, so the next fully finished, or previous finish, was Lindy Stitches. This is Dracula's Confession. And I finished that one. I was going back and looking at it. It looks like I finished it in December of last year. And there it is. I love this chart. I did the vertical version. And I did it with the called for. In fact, I think that she may have had, I think she had a floss kit for this. So there is a combination of some silk and then some overdyed cottons. But it was a really fun chart to stitch. So, and that is on a 32 count Murky Lugana, which, again, I got it last year. So I know that's kind of a rough one to get your hands on right now, but it does look really good with it. So, all right, so those are my previous finishes. And I have so much stuff. I know a lot of people say this, but I've got so much stuff floating around that I'm really hoping that it doesn't just all fall down. So, okay, so fully finished object. I'm just going to show it to you before I do any spoilers with the chart or whatever. This is the biggest finish that I have to date. And I framed this in an $8 thrift store frame. But it came out pretty. I like it. So here she is. She's all done. So this is Gleger 1898 by Reflet de Soie. And it is all done. You'll notice that I've taken some artistic license right here. I shall explain. This is on a piece of 36 count Haunted linen by Picture This Plus with the called for silk, and I had so much fun stitching it. I loved it. So, just let that kind of hang out over here for a second. I don't really have a lot of religious iconography in my house. It is what it is. But when I was looking at this chart, and I'll show you the cover. Immediately, I mean, before I even looked closely enough to see what it was, I saw this and I thought it was a T. And I was like, huh, I wonder why there's a big T. And then I looked a little more closely and recognized that it was a cross. But before I did that, the first thing I thought of, for those of you who are old enough, you may remember that right around the same time that Sesame Street was on, it would usually be Sesame Street, or there would be cartoons maybe in the morning, and then right after there was a show called The Electric Company. And The Electric Company was kind of, it was a little bit more educational, I guess, in some cases. So there was a skit, it was a animated skit called The Adventures of Letterman. And as an aside, it was narrated by Joan Rivers, who is a comedian who passed away a few years ago. But there's that deep raspy voice. This is in the 70s, so she had to have been pretty young. But she did the narration for this, and Letterman was kind of a superhero who would show up, and I think the bad guy was called the Spellbinder, and the Spellbinder would go around and he would steal letters out of words and replace them with other words. So he would turn, like he would take the L out of light and he would replace it with night. Like he'd put an N in there and replace it, and so then it would be dark everywhere, and oh no, what are we gonna do? And then Letterman would come and save the day, and he'd take the letter off the front of his Letterman sweater, and he had a football helmet. But the intro, like the little intro to the skit, was the Adventures of Letterman, faster than a rolling O, stronger than silent E, able to leap capital T in a single bound. It's a word, it's a plan, it's Letterman. So the capital T that he jumped over in that animation, and again, I'll put that up just as a still shot, was a diner sign. It was a great big T-shaped diner sign that had red and white lights, and it was Tessie's Diner. So I know for some of you purists out there, for samplers, millions of voices crying out and then being silenced, but I loved that show, and I loved Letterman, and I loved the fact that it made a huge difference for lots of kids in helping them learn to read and to be literate. And it was just, it's a sweet childhood memory, and so samplers are what we make them, and I don't think it takes away from the beauty of this chart. I think it adds something personal that was important to me. Not to mention the fact that look at all the letters. Look at all the letters on this sampler. Letterman would have loved samplers. Maybe he still does. He's still out there fixing stuff. So anyway, that's what that is. Tessie's Diner. It's right next to the anchor and the B. So that's my FFO. Thanks for coming to my capital T talk. Okay. Some other FFOs. We're going to do these kind of out of order. So I also finished this. I had showed you guys this. This is a kind of a project fold. And I had done this as part of the Blackbird Designs quilt along, the BBD QAL, that Lori Textilist and Olivia B are still hosting, and I decided to do it with some wool, to do a wool applique to begin with, because I've never done any applique before, as kind of, you know, just a way to get in there. And then it opens up, and it is a very large, so I'm not sure I'm going to be able to show you the whole thing, but it's got a pocket down here, and then it's got space for, you know, if you wanted to put a cross stitch chart in here, this will actually fit a full a smaller size scroll frame, so you could bring your whole project with you. In this particular case, I've got my applique scissors, but you can put in whatever. So yeah, I went ahead and just put that together. Came out really cool. It's a very big, and I had some photos of that over on my Instagram. Speaking of Lori, I got a message in my Instagram inbox sometime last week, and she and Kindred Stitcher were coming up to Seattle to go to Carriage Country Quilts in Des Moines, not Iowa, but Des Moines, Washington, which is only a few, I don't know, it's maybe 25 minutes away from my house, and asked if I would like to meet up at the quilt shop just to say hi and, you know, maybe grab lunch or whatever. And when Lori and Lisa and Susan Stanley are all going to go to the quilt shop, you put your big girl social pants on and you put your double mask on and you go. So it was amazing. They have pictures on their Instagram profiles. I'll let them, you know, keep them on there. You can go over and take a look, but you may or may not see a quick cameo from me in my mask. So it was really, really amazing. I've never been, other than Kelly from Minimalism in the Making and I were able to go a few months ago up to a antique mall. And that was really fun. She's been over to my house to do some stitching on the deck, and I can't tell you how nice it is to see people in person. I know everyone's going through just isolation and withdrawal from people, and it just makes it really hard. And we're in an area where, you know, we've got pretty, you know, the cases are ramping back up again, and so that is not lost on me. And but again, I really enjoyed meeting them. It was super fun, and just to be able to learn, I mean, just in passing comments, conversations, to be around people that know so much and have been to classes and have seen all of these techniques and can give you suggestions. I mean, come on. Fabric shopping with Susan Stanley? Hello? It's like, I'm sitting there like, I'm such a what a lucky girl. This is really, really cool. It's like this total out-of-body experience. Like, what? Is this happening? Anyway, so thank you for inviting me. It was really, really cool. So, and Lori and I think Lisa are back at a Stitcher's Retreat right now, and so watching their Instagram has been really cool to see all the stuff that they're getting to go see. They got to go to, I think, Meg Menonomy's store. Oh, beautiful, beautiful things in there. So anyway, what is next? That was my big finish. I had my, this is the other finish that I had that I think I already showed you guys, but this is the project bag that I made in that video. So it's a little bit longer. It's got a pocket, it's got a vinyl front, and then it's got a tag that allows you to hang either your scissors or floss or whatever. And then it has some fleece backing so that it's a little bit stiffer. So, all right. Starts. I had a few starts. One of them, lots and lots of you are participating in Betsy Gleger's Stitch Along. So Betsy and Nikki Noodles are kind of put this together, and lots of people are stitching this. This is Elizabeth Adelsey by Hedgerow Stitching, and this is as far as I've gotten. You may notice mistakes. Maybe. I'm actually using the called for flosses, and there were a few that I didn't have. Oops. But they're really pretty. I really like this bright green and that sort of blue. That's the DMC version because I don't think I had, I think it was a Gentle Arts floss that it called for and I didn't have it. But so Betsy's going through some health stuff right now, and I'll let you go and see on her channel. She explains it right off the bat in her most recent Flosstube. And so in solidarity with Betsy, and hoping that, you know, this brings her a little bit of comfort and shows her how much everybody loves her. So anyway, and the hashtag for the stitch along is stupid tumor Sal, and that's stupid with 2 O's and tumor with 1 O. So go check that out. The next start was this. This is the Sheldon Hawk's house. And I'm looking for something because I have something I wanted to show you with this, but I'm not finding it. So this is a good housewife chart, and I believe that may be out of print. I did find it on eBay. It was not very expensive, but it is cool. And this is based on a house that actually exists. It's still out in the wild. And sorry, I'm still looking for it. But this is how far I got. I'm stitching it. This is on a piece of 40 count honey by Bee Stitch Me. And I'm doing some of it 1/1 and some of it I'm doing I'm doing some of it 1/2 and some of it 2/2. And I'm doing that partially because I'm using DMC 310. You can see on either side of the road there, or staircase, whatever that is, that those are 310, and so is this little branch out here. And it just looks better. It's better coverage with 2 strands. And then also around the door frame and around the window frames, I used 2 strands as well. So I'm just kind of playing around with that a little bit, doing a piece that has a combination of those rather than just, if you know, okay, well, if it's 2/2, I have to do 2/2 for the whole thing. Not necessarily, you know, just try it this way. I like that it's got more sparse coverage for the main portion of the house. So anyway, it's a cool chart. These are the flosses. They're all DMC. And I pretty much dig it. I love it. And it's small. This is I guess it's going to be a little bit taller than that. Not too much. But yeah, so that was a start, and that's some progress that I have on that. Here we go. Okay, so this is what I wanted to show you about that chart. This is the actual door of the Sheldon Hawk's house. So this is an old postcard. And it's in Deerfield, Massachusetts. And then this is the house itself, which hopefully you can see that. So, and I don't think there's anything sinister about it. It is an eerie kind of house, but it's just really, it's cool, it's historical, and you can see why they charted it that way with the kind of peachy looking windows. I didn't do any color alteration to that chart. That's what it looks like. So anyway, just old vintage postcards. Found them on eBay. They were like $3 or something like that, but I just thought those were cool. So that door is awesome. Anyway, history. It's cool. All right. So I also had mentioned that I was going to be doing some experiments with some vintage silk on this Modern Folk Embroidery chart, How Doth the Little Busy Bee, which I keep calling How Doth the Busy Little Bee, the Little Busy Bee. And again, that's by Modern Folk Embroidery. I am going to be stitching that on this piece of, it is 36 count chalkboard by XJew Design. So this was my original attempt, and I did that with just the size A weight thread. This right here is a row of 1/2 with a buttonhole twist thread. And that looks like this. I really can get it out. I'm going to throw it on the floor first. But so this is the buttonhole twist on these little, yeah, can you see that? There you go. So the colors are still really, really vibrant. And it works really well. What I found is that with this type of silk on the thread, it's so fine that it doesn't like to lay down. And I even tried it with the 2 strands, and it's still, you know, I think it would be beautiful for embroidery, like for doing satin stitches, even on a cross stitch piece, and I will try that. But I think for stitching, this buttonhole twist is kind of the way to go. And so with that vintage silk, I think what I'm going to do on this chart is that I'm going to do a lot of it in that kind of goldy color, except for that for some of the flowers and for the stems, I might actually start to do like a multicolor, so it'll be more like a garden. And so I've picked out a few of those silks that I think will be really pretty, and I'll just kind of ad-lib it as I go. But now that I've figured out what works, because when you look at this and the way that it lays, I don't know if you can see that very well, but it's really, it just lays really nicely. So anyway, that's my little experiment. Now, there is a Flosstuber and person on Instagram that I would love for you guys to go and follow. And her name is Kristi de Clemente, and she is on Flosstube, she's Kristi's Corner Needlework. And on Instagram, she's Dr_Kristi with a K. So Kristi's Corner is KRISTI''S. Corner is just with a C. Kristi's Corner Needlework. And then Dr, all lowercase, Dr_Kristi. She does remarkable needlepoint embroidery, experiments with fiber. When she started doing her Flosstube channel, she really was more into, and still is, needlepoint, but not in the way that you think. She does very kind of almost like freeform art with floss, and it's gorgeous. And she's a history professor, and I think it has to do with like medieval history, so her videos are super interesting. She's really funny. I wish I lived closer to her because I think we would hang out all the time. So she just got married a couple days ago, so congratulations. If nothing else, just go and watch her most recent video where she shows the centerpiece flower that she made for her wedding bouquet, and the way that she did it. It's exquisite. I'm not going to spoil it. You got to go look at it. It's gorgeous. It is inexplicable to me that she is still in the under 1,000 subs club. Please go watch her. She's great. It's really, watch her. She did a year retrospective looking at all the finishes that she did. That is amazing. Like just the art pieces that she put on fabric with floss is just gorgeous. So Kristi, congratulations on your wedding, and everybody go and check her out. She also, and this is what made me think of it, a friend of hers gave her a Corticelli needlework magazine, like a vintage needlework magazine, and so she went through and did a flip through. This is maybe a month ago, a little over a month ago. And because she's an actual historian, she's got the information about, you know, some of the origins of this, and it's really, really fascinating to listen to. Not to mention that just looking through the pages of that needlework book is just, it's really, really cool. So go check her out. I'm going to link her below. Okay. I think I kind of went out of order here because I had another start. Oops. Okay, so Jacob from Modern Folk Embroidery has a new subsection on his shop called Dark Crosses. And they are a little bit more sort of spooky themed, I guess, if you want to call it, sort of in celebration of our mortality. But this is called Mr. Bones in the Garden. And I just think he's so cute. I mentioned this in my last video, so if you haven't gone to see that video that he did that introduced the Dark Crosses patterns and watched to the end, I'm not sure what you're doing. So anyway, this is my start. This is Mr. Bones. I've got this on a piece of 40 count Seraphim Forest Floor is the color. And I'm using Ecru, just DMC Ecru. And this is is that right? Yeah. This is 1/2 strands. And I just wanted it to be a little more fall. I love this fabric. I used a slightly larger thread count, but the same color when I stitched Park Hopper Bart's Orabesh sampler, which is the alphabet, one of the alphabets used in the Star Wars trilogy. A saga, Star Wars epic tome of enough sequels to last my lifetime. Which is fantastic. Anyway, but that's what I used for that. So then I was looking forward to having something else to and I just decided to start this. And I think what I am going to do is I'm actually going to pull a couple of you know, like maybe add a little bit of color. So little pops of color maybe on the ends of some of the stems up here. Just so that it looks a little bit more like a garden. But we'll play around with it and see. So, okay, so continuing on with works in progress. I'm just all over the place, aren't I? So cool. So I got more work done on Strawberry Fields Forever. This is by Blackbird Designs. So I've kind of turned the corner and I mostly just have this side now to do, that sort of upper corner. And there are all the flosses. This is on a piece of 32 count Honey by Bestitch Me. And that is this chart, Blackbird Designs, Strawberry Fields Forever. This is part of the 6-part Magical Mystery Tour series, which is an homage to the Beatles, because Barb loved the Beatles. So, okay, so another work in progress. This is also this is another chart by Jacob. This is called The Hound and the Hair. And that is actually, started this a while back, but hadn't worked on it too much, but I made some progress. So I finished this line here and then started down here into the date, and I'm working my way down. It's really fun. This is a nice, you know, that kind of, I'm not sure who started it, but that idea of like one red thread before bed. Although once I get going on it, it's kind of hard to stop. But this is just on a piece of cream. I think it's a 40 count cream, 1/1, and I'm stitching it with Gentle Arts Schoolhouse Red. Not a lot of variegation. So I'm also doing a stitch along with a super fun group of girls. This is the Joan Sands. This is a Hogmanay sampler because she put her date is New Year's Eve. And again, sensing a theme here, this is also by Jacob, Modern Folk Embroidery. It's a reproduction. So I'm not sure that I've actually gotten a ton of progress since the last time you saw this. I think I just started working on this green grass here. So really it's like very minimal, mostly because I was really pushing. Oh gosh, that just keeps coming in and out of focus. There we go. So I haven't done a lot on this one, mostly because I was really pushing to get Gleger done. So now I can kind of focus on that one a little more, especially for Sampler September. I think that one and Elizabeth Adelsey are going to be the ones that I really want to work on. Okay, I think what I will do now is talk about some of the samplers that I have kitted up. So first, and this is going to be, some of these I've had for 6 months. Some of them I've just gotten. And so they're kind of crossover with haul, which is why those are sort of combined. So this is an old, okay, it's not old. I've had this kitted up for a long time. I may end up changing the fabric because this is a 32 count and I don't think I want it to be this big. But I did buy the chart and I got the silks with it. And this is very soon after I started Gleger, just because I was loving it so much and I was like, I definitely want to do another one. This is a big girl. This is Louise Lallier, 1901, by Reflets de Soie. And if you look closely, you can see that there's a dog and there's all kinds of animals. There's a donkey and a rooster and some quail and beautiful little houses and that gorgeous floral border. And I'm not crazy about the pink flowers in the middle of the letters up here, but that's easily remedied. So I sprung for the Floss, and I haven't done anything with them yet. They're just as they came on their cards. So if you've ever gotten the silk set, they basically just come on these kind of, oh, hi, that's upside down. So they come on these vintage looking artwork cards, and then the back has the Floss numbers, the Auvera Soie numbers. It's really pretty. Now, I have a piece of, and it's big enough, but again, I don't think I'm gonna stitch it on this. I think I'm gonna rethink it. I do love the color. This is a piece of 32 count angel hair by Weeks, but it's the old Weeks. It's not a Zweigert blend, so it's really loose, which is pretty for some things, but I think it's going to make it really difficult. I think I'm going to go ahead and swap out the fabric, but that is one of the samplers that I've got on my radar. Along the same lines, Albertine, oh, that's coming out. Albertine Bourgeois, 1907. Same feel with the dogs and the really cool house and that little river and the gorgeous floral border. Now these are not small charts. This is 345 stitches by 247. This one is 319 by 412. So they are monsters. They're huge. This one I've got, and I think I may stick with it. This is on a 36 count cream linen. And with these, because they're so vibrant, there's so much color and so many different motifs, I think that I just want something that's going to blend in so that the colors really stand out. And I think that this may have, this I can't remember what this one calls for, if it's calling for beige, or usually on the back of these charts, what they will, they'll give you a color number. So like this calls for Zweigart 222, which I think is beige. I don't remember. But anyway, I think I'm going to do that on that cream color. So that's in the queue at some point. So another one, Wild Styra Snaps. Christina always, she never disappoints, always gorgeous samplers. So Agnes Lyle, 1832 is one of her recent charts, and this is a Scottish sampler reproduction, and it's really, really pretty. My printer's not great, so it's not really doing it justice at all. So here's the color, here's the floss. Look at how bright and gorgeous that is. So this is Wayfarer's Cloak. This is kind of my go-to. It's a 38 count. I love it. But you can just imagine this chart. Yeah, we're not going to do that. I'm going to pull it up on my iPad so that you guys can see it. But anyway, so these colors are just gorgeous. So let's pull it up so that we can actually see a nice photo of it. I'll look up Christina's. Let's see here. Okay, so that is a better picture. It's kind of nuts. It's blowing out a little bit. Go to her. Yeah, I would just go to her store and take a look at it, because it is just beautiful. That peacock is so pretty right by the house. Anyway, she does great charts, and they're really easy and fun to follow. So there's a lot of eyelets, which I actually really like. So looking forward to that one. This one I've actually mentioned before, and but I wanted to sort of bring it out again because it is Sampler September. So this is a Shakespeare's Peddler. This is Teresa Vanette. This is the Spanish Mystery Sampler. And again, this is a big chart. This stitch count is 500 by 320. Now there is a lot of negative space in there, but it's still a lot of stitching, but it's beautiful. And the borders are really beautiful. The color choices are really beautiful. So I am looking at, this is a 38 count filbert, which is a legacy linen, and I think that is going to work for me. Good structure. So lots of silks, all silks, lots of different varieties of silk, which is kind of fun because she's called for different types, which, you know, a lot of, sometimes you're kitting something up and it's just all one, you know, one floss maker instead of multiples. So anyway. So I really want to start this. I've wanted to start this one for ages. So now that I've got a big sampler out of the way, that may be the one that I gravitate toward and just start knocking out, because I just think it's so pretty. Okay. Okay, so this is not a sampler per se. It's not a sampler at all. But this is something that I have been wanting to show you, and in terms of kitted up items, this is something that I've been kind of sitting on for a little while. So a few months ago, I shared with you that I had met up with a woman who was selling some of her mother's stash, or helping her mom to sell some of her stash on Craigslist. And so I ended up getting like 65 cross-stitch charts for her, because she was just selling them in a you know, a bulk, like, look, these are all the charts, and she showed some photos of them, and these are a couple that I found. Looked at that photo and was like, I need to go get those. So they're out of print, and they are adorable. So this is Prairie Moon. That's Flower Waltz. And if you look closely, you can just see that their faces are literally 4 stitches. That's it. So these are little. These are little girls. little dancing, happy. So that's Flower Waltz. This is Moon Dance. And this, slightly bigger. This is all around the maypole. So they obviously were part of a set, or part of a kind of a theme. And I am planning to stitch these all as one piece so that they would be kind of like, you know, we've got the three girls in the middle, or the three dancers in the middle. Yeah, there's me again, not being able to do the thing. And then just put them all like this on one piece of fabric. So, this is an R&R piece of 40 count chestnut, American chestnut, sorry. So this is a really dark, it's a really pretty kind of a cocoa color. And that is most of, it's missing maybe 2 or 3 of the flosses that will take care of that whole chart. All 3 of those charts, excuse me. So kitting this up has been a little bit of a, you know, sometimes kitting things, it's almost as time consuming depending on what kinds of flosses you're looking for as getting started and actually starting the chart. Which reminds me that yesterday I watched a brand new Flosstuber, and she's been on Instagram for a while, but it's Alexis, and her channel and Instagram are Alexis_MyAmazingWorld, and she just did her first Flosstube episode, and you gotta go watch it. She loves to kit this like I do. And she makes a project bag that is themed to every single one of the kits that are going into the project bag. So, and she's hysterically funny, and I cannot wait to watch more of her videos. So go subscribe to Alexis and watch her video. It's awesome. Loved it so much. So Kristi's Corner Needleworks and Alexis, My Amazing World. Those are my recos for this week. Okay. Needlework Expo. Holy cow. So many good charts. I cannot even stand how many good charts there were. I had to restrain myself a little bit, but I did pick up some things. So I went onto Abby, Top Knot Stitcher, to her store and pre-ordered a few things. So I haven't gotten these things yet. These are my pre-orders, and so I'm sure when they come in that I will be getting my things from Top Knot Stitcher. So Michelle G, Bendy Stitchy, this haunted ornament is so cute, and it sounds like this color palette was the crowdsourced color combo that Rosie picked out, and so that's the color palette that was released with the chart once this became widely available beyond, I think it was Michelle's Patreon. Is that right? Anyway, I love it. It's super cute. It's super small, and I'm going to stitch it exactly as it's charted. So that one was one. And by the way, I just want to say thank you to Michelle for shouting me out in her one of her last videos. I was at work when it happened, so I didn't really see, and I got home and I was looking at it's like all of a sudden, you know, I don't look at my subscriber count very much, but it was like, what the? And then I started seeing in a couple of the comments like, oh, Michelle sent me over. So, you know, I went and, so it's very humbling, you know, when someone that has an established viewership trusts you with their audience, so thank you. That is I do appreciate that, and that was very nice of you to do that. And she also shouted out my good friend Nikki Noodles, who, if you go back to watch the beginning of my videos, is really why I started making floss tubes anyway. So, full circle, right? Anyway, super cute, super cute. And then Mojo Stitches. So I also pre-ordered this little tiny bird, which is it's called Mary Barton's work, and I can't wait for that one to arrive. It's just super sweet, super simple, and I think it's only, it looks like if you just framed it with just the cross stitch piece and not the fabric that's around it, which is a piece of French General, which I actually think I have that fabric, but if you just finished it with just the cross stitch piece, it's like 5 by 7 as charted. So it's a little super cute. I love it. And then the other two things that I got from her, oh, what were they called? It's they're the purple pumpkins, scissor tail designs. Okay, so these are scissor tail designs, and can you see that? This is called the Purple Pumpkin Patch, and it's like there's 2 flat folds, or that's how they're finished anyway. And then there's also a pin keep, and it comes with a little purple pumpkin button, which is really cute. So I ordered that pattern too. So those were my that's what I ordered for Needlework Expo pre-orders this time around. So Caroline from Evertote also did a collaboration with Park Hopper Bart for this chart, the Black Cats and Spooky Bats. And it is really cute. She had the Leo and Roxy floss pack, and was selling that as a combo with the PDF chart, Bart's PDF chart, and then you could buy the flosses, which are really nice. So I was thinking, I just got this piece. It was the August Fabric of the Month from Brandy at Stitch Me, and it's called Garden Party, and it's this really cool, so check it out. It's like this green, it's almost like a peachy green, but and the green itself isn't, it's more of a gray green. It's a really cool piece of fabric. I don't know how she does this, but man, it's so cool. So I think that could look really cool on there. So that's what I'm thinking. I might just kind of go for it and see what that would look like. And it won't, it won't take a ton of fabric, but normally I wouldn't put a kind of multicolored, it's not a busy pattern. It's a repetitive pattern, so I like how it would just be sort of, I don't think that the pattern itself would overwhelm the fabric or vice versa. I think that it would actually blend really well. So that is what I'm thinking. So I don't know, what do you guys think? It's kind of cool. All right, and now we're kind of coming to the end of the actual kitted things. There are a couple charts I wanted to show you. Our group is making some plans for Gwyneth's upcoming birthday next year to do kind of a monster chart, and we've been looking at a lot of different scarlet letter charts, one of which is Sarah Harvey, and Sarah Harvey is really cool. It's got those birds are cross stitched, but they're outlined in kind of a stem stitch, and so it gives them a really neat looking, kind of a different look. You're able to get those rounded edges around the birds. And so when you're looking at it from a distance, like when you're looking at the photo, it almost looks like applique. It's kind of cool. So there's that one. This is the one I'm really kind of obsessed with because it's got those palm trees. So this is LMAM, dated 1829. There we go. Can you see it? Now it looks very pink, and a lot of that has to do with the way that the antique is finished. It's got, and it's going to be almost impossible for me to show you this, it's got this like the binding around it is like it looks like a baby blanket. It's got that wide sort of satin binding around the edge of it that makes it look like it's like a big piece of ribbon that runs down the edge of it. So I think depending on what you stitched it on, you could probably get away from it being quite so pink. Well, there's nothing wrong with pink. Here are a couple that are a little unusual. This is by Bright Needle. And this is called Quiet Night Sampler. And I would say that the camera's not showing you, but it's really just as dark as this is. It's on a very dark piece of fabric, but the alphabet is so unusual and so cool. And then it's got little snowflakes, and it's just really simple. Little moon. So I want to do that one. This is another one. This is called Windy Hill, also by Bright Needle. And it's got a tiny, tiny little house, and it's got, you know, looks like the smoke coming out of the chimneys, blowing in one direction. There we go. What I like about these is you could do them in any colors. I mean, that's any cross stitch, but you could do these in any colors. And it says, "We've lived on top of Windy Hill for years and love it still." So there's a dog, and there's a cat, and there's some flowers, and there's the house, and meep. And the person that's standing next to the house has a little blown inside out umbrella. Meep. So cute. I got the sewing machine Prairie Schooler Santa. Because of course I did. Old World Santas, and I do have the Old World Santas 2 as well. And a Birds of a Feather chart. I think this is still available. All Hallows Night. Look, they're just having so much fun. They're so cute. Those are some big pumpkin heads, though. It's a lot of stitches. Halloween icons. These are a little smaller. Those are just little ornaments. They're each 45 stitches by 45 stitches, so I think those are totally doable. This one is Schoolhouse Sampler. Love it. Love the way that is photographed. It's really sweet with the apple and the pencil and the sun coming through the window and the chalkboard. Brilliant. Okay, now I gotta talk about enabling. I know I'm guilty of it, and I have been told that there have been some things that people have purchased because they've seen them on my channel. I'm sorry, not really. A little bit. But what goes around comes back around. So Kyle, Stitching in Sound, did a kit parade, and I watched every minute of it. And when he got to the part where he pulled this out, I was like, okay, I have not stitched anything that looks anything like this. I don't have anything that really looks anything like this. And yet, I had to go find it, like, immediately. First of all, I told myself there's no way I'm not gonna, no, as I'm looking it up. So I think the reason that I like this. I mean, it's a cool chart, and it's got, you know, it's got these nicely wrapped. But see, then the problem is there's also a white horse. See that? And if there's a set, I'm gonna go try to find it. But anyway, I think the reason I like this is because one of my favorite movies of all time and I think it may be the first movie that I ever saw as a kid in the theater, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure it is The Black Stallion. It's by, you know, directed by Francis Ford Coppola. It's one of the most beautifully filmed movies of all time, in my opinion. I love that movie. And this just reminds me of that. What else? So when I went to Carriage Country Quilts, I did pick up some fabric, a little bit, and I'm not going to show all of it today because it really wasn't much. But I did find, this is one of those, like, you buy your fabric, you get ready to go, you're all set to, you know, and then whoever you're with, maybe they're looking at a couple more things, and then you see something that you're like, well, now I have to buy that. So this little ceramic tray is magnetic. It's got a magnet on the back. So it's perfect for setting your needles, your needle threader, your scissors. So like my scissor with this cute little scissor fob, and then they stay where they're supposed to be. So I saw that, and because of course it's got a skull with an eye patch, I immediately had to buy that. Nisi Lynn on her channel, not today's video, but last week, she shared Jerry Lynn's store. Jerry Lynn is on Etsy as Floss and Fabrics. So that is Jerry Lynn's store. And Nisi Lynn showed some kind of fall Halloween themed fabrics that Jerry Lynn had sent to her, and so of course I had to immediately go over and look. And while I was there, I think I've looked at his fabric line before, but I just never really keyed in on it. But Tim Holtz is a fabric designer and does some other designing as well. Game over, man. So that is one of the fabrics that I got. This is another, I don't think this is Tim Holtz. This might be a different designer. I'm not sure. And then this is one of his. This is the Undertaker fabric. So it's got all of these old newspaper ads. And it's like pharmacists and undertakers, and it's really, really cool. So thank you, Nisi Lynn, for that recommendation. This is an Instagram inspired purchase that I made. The woolen needle. Actually, I think it was Valdani Threads Instagram post that showed this photo. And it is a wool applique pattern and kit. And it's in this episode, or in episode. Next time. Yeah, it's in this American Patchwork and Quilting. It's at Better Homes and Gardens. And this is issue 172. And it's got the pattern for that wool kit. And this is the kit from the woolen needle, which of course I had to get for $38.80. But it's gorgeous. The colors in this are really, really beautiful. And I think once, you know, I think that when you buy the kit, you've got exactly enough. you've got enough to do the project that you're going to be doing, so you don't end up with a lot of scraps. And when I made that project bag, my So Much Room for Activities project bag, that was one of the main pushes, is to make a bag that doesn't create a whole lot of excess. So anyway, I think, is that enough? So I'm gonna have to cut this down so much. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, so last week we had a giveaway. In fact, where did that go? Here it is. So in my enthusiasm for Lucinda Fraser, which is this chart by Needlework Press, Lucinda Fraser 1866, Iowa Quaker sampler, which is just gorgeous. I got 2, so that's, and so the word was oops, and I believe that just over 60 of you commented using the word oops, and the random YouTube comment picker chose Tammy Daniel. I hope that's how to pronounce your last name. Daniel. Either Daniel or Daniel, I believe. So Tammy, you won. I'll comment on your comment, and then if you're on Instagram, you can direct message me and I will get your address and get this sent out to you. So I think that's going to be it for today. I'm really hoping that I haven't forgotten anything, but if I have, I can always just sit down and add a little bit at the end, right? So we're getting close to 2,000 subscribers, which is mind-blowing to me. So I just want to thank you guys for watching and participating, and for shouting me out, and for all of you who comment and who get enthusiastic about things that, you know, we discuss or that we show or that we talk about. And I am learning so much from everybody that has decided to kind of come and hang out in this little corner of Flosstube with me every once in a while. And I just really wanted to say how much I appreciate you. So I'm going to try and do another video here in the next couple weeks, so it won't be such a gap in between. No guarantees. This last month has been kind of tough with work, and every once in a while you just kind of have to take a deep breath and, you know, find the things that are comfortable. And for me, that was watching a lot of Flosstube and doing some stitching and getting some things done. And so I appreciate the grace that you guys have to let me be sporadic about my posting of videos. I would like to be more consistent, but I just know right now that that's not going to be the case. And so I'm okay with that. It's just, it is going to be what it is. So anyway, again, thank you so much. I will try to cobble this together in a somewhat organized way. I know it's a little bit all over the map today. But in the meantime, be safe, be nice to each other, and have a happy day. Bye.